And good evening and welcome to the Coaches Show, the Sideline Sessions portion of the boys West Virginia State basketball tournament coming up starting tomorrow, and we got a great panel for you. We got John Frisbee, and I don't know if our producer's got nameplates for everybody under the camera. So John's over here. We got Josh Strickler right here. I will say you're from Riverside, from Sissonville, and everybody knows Elias Gregory from St. Albans High School. And so tonight we're going to talk basketball. I think we should start off, since we got two girls coaches here, we'll just talk off and knock out this girls tournament that just concluded. And I guess not really a question, but if you guys want to just throw out anything that you saw at the game, anything that surprised you, any players that you haven't seen play and impressed you, and how you saw everything play out. And we can start with any class you want, and we'll start with Elias here. And then
I think probably the thing that I always think it's interesting every time that I've come up here since I started coaching and since I started doing travel basketball and those kids got up, how many of the kids that during those seasons that I did travel basketball are represented in all of those classes. I mean, we used to play against the Brindley girl who, won at St. Mary's. Ava Workman, great player who we used to battle with against in travel basketball and stuff like that. And Francis Geis was like that too. I think that's always interesting to me just personally. But I think probably the thing that I was the most interested in was how much pressure zone was getting played. Kind of when you're scouting and you're only scouting your team and you're kind of worried about your team and people play you differently than they play other people. You don't notice how much, a lot of people were playing 2-3 or 3-2, but they were playing it out at the volleyball line, even up here at the Civic Center on this big floor. And so it's something that really made me think, I always come up here and look at it from a coaching standpoint and sometimes think, what can I learn from it? And looking at that extended zone stuff, I thought was really interesting. That was probably my main takeaway from just watching the games. I don't know about you, John.
I can echo that. I mean, the defense was pretty incredible, but like Elias said, I don't have a travel background, so a lot of times seeing these girls here at the tournament is the first time I've gotten to see them play, except for our MSAC girls and some of the ones that we've already seen. So the defense was really good. The shot selection was pretty good. Just the way they move without the ball, I think, is just as impressive as some of the things that they can do with the ball.
Josh, you get to check out any of the games there?
I did not.
Oh, okay. He's a boys coach, so we'll get him more involved in the boys. You're talking about shooting. I know it's always been in the boys game, but where is this leaning shot that they do now, that these girls are leaning way out here and trying to throw the ball up with one hand? And I've seen that more this year than I ever have. It's usually girls are always in control with that bounce pass in there and pump fake straight up off the glass. Now it's leaning and
I wonder. I think part of it is. I think part of it is that there are a lot more. I mean, I'm not trying to take shots at old basketball players or stuff, but I think they're a lot more athletic and a lot quicker now. And I think going to trainers a lot are trying to teach them these arm angles and these finishes from these different angles and stuff. It's something that I've started to work on a little bit because I would love to say, get the ball, dribble in, finish off the right hand, square up, go off the basket, but that's not really happening in the game right now. So I think you kind of have to adapt with that. I don't know where it's coming from other than maybe trainers are working on their stuff. I don't know what you think, but I think maybe that's part of it.
I mean, it just seemed like all the big scorers this year were all just like trying to lean. And the little girl from East Fairmont, I mean, she had more moves than
Do you think it's the trainer stuff?
I think some of that comes from not wanting to get their shot blocked. You have girls on the inside now that are really phenomenal jumpers.
A lot of volleyball players, I think.
Right. Rather than go up and just get their shot hammered, they try to take a different angle at the basket or do something a little more unorthodox to get the ball up. So I think maybe it's a turnabout to try to avoid the block shot.
I know, yeah, I agree with you there, because there is some bigs out there. And we saw a couple. I think Carson had a good block, I think, in the game that she had. But another thing that we talked about last week was the new arrangement as far as the regionals. And I think this week, all the negativity we talked about, that, there's always a team left out. I think we got one positive this week with the 4A, Parkersburg. I mean, they're a couple miles apart.
Right.
And they were able to get two teams within a Parkersburg into the championships.
Yeah.
And I think, as far as where that lines up now.
Well, I think the other thing when we talked about that was talking about how I thought this year in Quad A and Triple A there weren't going to be near as many blowouts. Mm-hmm. And I especially thought that I was interested in Quad, given that you were going to have the North-South thing, that there were going to be less blowouts. And I don't think there was I think maybe if you look at the Washington GW score, I think it ended up at 20 or 22 or something like that. But that was still a game with 3 or 4. That's a 1 versus an 8 that was still a game with 3 or 4 minutes left. And I don't know that there was another really. Park South did well against Martinsburg, but I don't think there was really a game in Quad A that just somebody ran away with it, that there was anybody that you were just like, well, obviously this team is in it just because the region is weak or whatever it is. I think as far as getting good games, the North-South thing worked to me. I don't know.
I agree. And with the MSAC that we play in, we get to see these teams night in and night out. I had the pleasure of getting to see Morgantown play at the Greenbrier. So, you get to see these teams play, so you kind of know what they're bringing to the table, and it was ultra competitive, I thought, for most of the games.
Yeah, 2 cities, Morgantown 2 teams in, Parkersburg 2 teams in. So yeah, I thought that was a very good field in 4A. But I tell you, the whole basketball was great. It was good. I think top, bottom, A, single or double, triple. Jim Justice, you guys. I don't know what people personally think about Jim Justice, and as a politician, it's probably a lot different, but as a basketball coach, I think it was well-deserved. He's been around. He's done his time.
I'll say the same thing about him that I've said about Bo Miller before, where I don't think that I've seen personally, I think Bo is a good coach. And I think that maybe people get tied into all this other stuff, and maybe he's not at every practice. Maybe he's not there all the time. I think Holly, that coaches with him, is exceptional. Probably one of the best assistant coaches in the state of West Virginia, and so he's got a really good staff with him. But I think he can coach basketball. I think he's a good coach. You watch him over on the sideline. He calls good timeouts. He makes good adjustments. I think he's a good basketball coach. So whatever you want to think about the other stuff, I think he's a good basketball coach. And I'm always. As much time, I haven't been in it as long, but somebody puts that much time in it, you always want to see them, win
100%.
one.
Yeah. Triple A, Spring Valley. Going into that tournament, they were just vicious. You think that was they just got surprised by the talent that was at East Fairmont, or what do you think happened there?
I think when we talked about it last week, that we had talked about the 2 teams that could wreck the tournament were Martinsburg, which, I think kind of lost in the first round, but I think was competitive, and East Fairmont, because if you're not ready for that back attack, if you're not ready for the way they play, they didn't really back attack and press Spring Valley to death. I think they just made shots, but I know that there are players on that team who are really, really good basketball players on the East Fairmont team, but and so I'm not saying this, but I don't know who the best player is when I watch them. They're all good. Yeah. They all can shoot. They all can handle. They all trap well. I don't know how you pick the best player on that team. So maybe that surprises you a little bit, especially when you do come from the MSAC, where everybody has an elite player that you're able to key on. Maybe just everybody's good is a little bit different to play against.
And Beckman is an exceptional coach, just like Bo Miller is. When I first met Beckman a few years back, I asked him straight up, how do you guys get so good at shooting? He said, we shoot every day. And that's evident. They came in and they were able to hit from anywhere on the floor, and it didn't seem like it mattered to any of his girls. Like you just said, they're almost interchangeable.
Yeah.
There's not one, if you take one off the floor, when he put one on, it's like the one that came off the floor, he didn't miss that person. So to have that interchangeability that he has is a testament to Beckman and the how he wants to coach and what he wants his girls to do.
I think when we played them down at Logan last year, they had made 9 threes in the first half against me, and I think it was 7 different kids that hit one. Yeah. It's not that system up there. I tried to teach back attack last year. I was unsuccessful. We never ran it. We never ran it in a game or anything because it never looked right in practice. That system he has, man,
It's impressive.
It's something else for sure.
Yep.
That's a system that you can stick anybody into if they buy into it. So he's impressive what he does.
Yep.
Yeah, I was too. As far as double leg, James Monroe, did you play them last year in that?
Yeah, we play.
Did that defense look that good against you guys?
Well,
I mean, that was incredible. I mean, they just killed people.
Part of it is Little Dunlap has kind of having the younger Dunlap, the freshman girl. She helps a lot because of what she does at the rim. But they did change coaches right before the season had started. They weren't. They pressed and pressured. We were pretty good ball handlers last year and kind of handled it. But I think I think we were up 19 or 20 in the fourth quarter, and I think it ended up getting cut to an 8-point game because they started to kind of get on us and pressure us a little bit last year. But I think it's a little bit maybe a different coach. Not that Angela wasn't great, and I know Angela's still around, and I saw that she was very supportive of them when they won the title the other day. But having the younger Dunlap too probably helps because she's a monster.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what we'll close with. Some of the younger players you saw in the tournament that's coming back next year.
Man,
It's
scary.
Impressive. It is, man.
For opposing coaches, it's scary.
Parkersburg South.
Yes.
Oh my.
All those freshmen, you know what you're going to see for the next 3 years after this year. It's very scary because you know what you're about to face no matter what you do.
Well, and again, here's the crazy thing. Kaylee wasn't playing up at Morgantown, so she'll be back next year. I can never remember the other girl from Morgantown's name that got hurt. She'll be back next. I was looking what I kind of counted 2 years ago and this year when the All MSAC came out Sunday, and obviously at the meeting that picked them, but sometimes you don't realize. And I think there were only seven kids out of 20 that were seniors on first and second team, and that's just in the MSAC. That's not including the Martinsburg freshman who was an animal. In AAA, there's some freshmen that really played well up here and stuff. Man, you're going to see a lot of the same names, I think, next year up here because there's so much talent that wasn't a senior this year.
Yeah, I kind of feel sorry for Jamie LeMasters. I thought for sure that he would get that first title this year, and I was just.
Well, the only thing I will say about that, and I really like Park South. Ed's been nice to me. Jamie obviously came and did our show. He's been awesome since I got into the conference and stuff. You just hate to see it, and I'm not saying who would have won that game one way or another, but you just hate to see it decided by an injury. And that's what we had talked about when we talked about the 3 days in a row, that sometimes just a tweaked ankle can completely change a game. And Park South was playing really well, and they were in that game, and it's by no means a given what would have happened in that game, but what happened to Jariah, you just kind of hate to see just happen to a kid. Jamie aside, all the other people aside, you hate to see something get decided by something like that. So.
Yeah. So, well, that wraps up the girls' season. Again, single A St. Mary's a 45-35 over Gilmer. James Monroe 50-26 over Williamstown. Greenbrier East, the number 1 seed. Well, 2 number seed. James Monroe was number 1 seed. Greenbrier East over number 7 East Fairmont 57-51, and Parkersburg 59-53 over Park South. And now it's time to jump into our beautiful brackets of boys basketball that starts tomorrow. And Josh got everything on the computer there, so you want to read out the seeds there, you can. I think I got Josh sent me a text here on the seeds, and I could probably pull them up if we want to start. I guess we'll just start with single A. And let's see. And single A, looks like the number 1 seed is going to be Greater Beckley, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't follow single A.
This is going to have to be a Josh Stricker very heavy segment. Because I would be lying to you if I told you that I knew anything about any of this either.
But yeah, we got Greater Beckley and Webster County, and I noticed a lot of these teams, some similar to what the girls' matchups were, or not maybe the matchups, but the teams. East Hardy, at number 4, Parkersburg Catholic in at 5, Tug Valley was also there at the girls at number 2, Ritchie County 7. See, they were also there. St. Joe's number 3, and I don't think St. Joe's had a girls team this season. And number 6, Tucker County, which is always there. They just have the same hotel room every year on both boys. I think one checks out and the other one checks in.
Yeah.
And so I think they come in at number 6. So we'll start with Josh. Josh,
well,
what do you got on us there, man? We got as far as single A. You said you've seen Greater.
I saw Greater Beckley play, obviously on YouTube Productions or some video productions that let me see them. They have 4 kids that can really score the ball. They're all averaging double figures, and they only have 1 senior starting. So I mean, the future is bright for them. Earlier this year, we played Parkersburg Catholic, and I will say they shoot the ball extremely well. And I don't know how they're going to do shooting the ball in here because all of us know shooting the ball in the Coliseum is a little different, or the Civic Center. And it's a tough place to shoot, but shooters shoot, and hopefully they make their shots. And obviously Tug Valley, he's been here for years and years and years. He's a great coach, know him really well. And I'm excited for this week for them, and hopefully they can pull up an upset. But when you have Greater Beckley coming in, averaging 4 people in double digits, it's going to be hard to stop 1 guy, 2 guys, 3 guys, and 4.
Yeah. Normally, I think if we see those blowouts, it's usually in that single A because you get that 1 powerhouse or 2 powerhouses, and usually you get them blowouts, especially in the early rounds. So we'll see, how that goes. And like I said, I don't follow the single A, so
I mean, if I had to make a pick, it's going to be for Ritchie County just because that's one of the places Mom's a family court judge. That's one of her counties. So my pick is going to be I want to see Ritchie County do well.
So you're saying
the people of Ritchie County helps elect my mother family court judge. So
they're playing Tug Valley first game.
Well, I'm just telling you that's going to be my sentimental favorite. They were my sentimental favorite in single A girls last. I think that. I think they played Gilmer County one day, which is another county in her jurisdiction, and she was telling me that the courthouses were both clearing out so that they could get down there so they could come and watch the game. So one day I think they had to cancel court. I think it was Thursday they had to cancel court early up there.
And they'll probably do it this week too.
So you tell me they got 2 bigs that average double digits. They have the All-State captain coming back, averaging 23. It's going to be a task for them to do that.
I'm just telling you who I'm supporting. That's who I'm supporting. I'm not picking them. I'm supporting them.
All right, that's fair.
All right, so in the second round, who are you supporting? You'll have to go with St. Joe's or Tucker County, I guess, there in that 3-6 game then, and try to get you a winner there.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, moving over to, let's see, Double A. Josh, I needed a better.
You're having more trouble with that phone than anybody. Do you want this? So you can read off of this?
You want my computer?
Well, you know what I think he's done there? He's gave them to me backwards there.
Listen, I'm not going to take any producer Josh slander in here. That's just not going to happen.
All right. I know a little bit more about Double A than I do, but not much. Okay. Your normal powerhouses are Bluefield. And, I think they've played in every classification ever since. Yeah. Well, maybe not single A, but I know back in my day, they were a top-notch 3A school, which that's all we had. And then I think they moved down to double. But Bluefield, we'll start at the top. Wheeling Central, number 1. Frankfort, 8. And with the weather outside, hey, you might be thinking they're playing football.
Yeah.
Number 4, Doddridge County, 5, Wayne. 2, Wyoming East, 7, Logan. 3, Bluefield, and 6, Petersburg. Now, I know we got 4 classifications, but, Bluefield, Logan all stepping down. Wayne stepping down. Frankfurt's, I think they've always been a Double A school, but, they got a lot of kids up there in that area. And that's a good bracket.
It is.
Top to bottom, I don't have records on there, but, normally, Wyoming East, man, they can play some basketball down there.
We played over 4 of these teams this year, including the summer. We played Wyoming East. They didn't have their all-state guard. He was hurt, but, I mean, they still played really well. Mm-hmm. They got a big that goes above the rim, and obviously their all-state point guard coming back who can light it up. But Wheeling Central obviously has Eli, who was Gatorade Player of the Year last year, and now it's a contest with him and Noah Lewis at GW. I always thought this year I'd pay money to watch Wheeling Central and GW play. That'd be a good game. That might be the best two teams in the state. Let them play. Let's see who's the best team.
Yeah.
You know? We played Frankfurt. We was lucky enough to beat them. They have a really good scoring point guard. He can go north-south really quick, he makes everyone around him better, which is hard to find. Logan, obviously, Hatcher knows what he's doing. Has a good group of kids there buying in at the right time, and they might. It'd be hard to beat Wyoming East, but they have a chance. You know, they have a chance. Everybody coming in here. Wayne, my buddy Meddings, he got that guard, number 0. You look at him and be like, who's this guy? Well, he took it against us and two-handed it. Like, he's 6 foot, gets above the rim, but who will be the X factor for them if he plays good is a twin, number 11. I forget his name, but he's number 11, or number 10, number 11, and he can go inside or out. It doesn't matter. He can post up, he can shoot the 15-footer, and he can shoot the 3 from way behind the arc. So that'll be a good test. And Doddridge County, obviously, it's weird how they play. He'll substitute 5 in at a time, because I thought, they're getting a little bit of momentum. You leave them and sub one or two out. But he keeps everyone fresh the entire game and wears you down with the presses. We was lucky enough, we only lost by 6 or 7 or 8 up there at their Christmas tournament. That's not funny.
Just listening.
Their big wasn't in. Obviously, he's an X factor. He does tremendous work in the post. So they're gonna have their hands tied, and this AA bracket is pretty well stacked for all the brackets.
Yeah. John, you got any predictions on this since Elias gave that last prediction of single A there?
Well, I've seen Wyoming East play a few times. Very impressive to watch. I've seen Wayne play a couple times. Again, very impressive. When you're coming from the girls' side, you get to see some of these boys' teams play, and it's very impressive. And I agree with what Josh said. I would love to see Wheeling Central and GW play. I think that would be a fierce matchup of some really competitive guys that would score some really high points on that one.
And it makes me wonder, would Noah guard Eli, even though Eli's the point guard, 6'5" or 6'6", he can go inside or out. It's just, does he feel comfortable guarding a point guard?
The matchups would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. And you have his little brother that's 5'5" that shoots threes better than almost anybody in the state. So it would be really interesting for him to play.
So we're Wheeling Central going all the way there in that AA bracket.
That would be my guess. That's probably.
You got the Gatorade Player of the Year coming back, who's doing better than what he did last year. Yes.
There you go. So that's your AA. Well, Josh, I guess we'll take our first break, and we'll be right back. Sideline Sessions continues right after this.
Introducing new Frosted Sodas and Floats. The original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich and new Frosted Sodas and Floats. Only at Chick-fil-A.
Your nursing future starts at Bridge Valley. Become an LPN in 12 months or an RN in 16. With hands-on training and state-of-the-art facilities like our immersion classroom, your nursing career starts at Bridge Valley. You bring the heart, we'll teach the rest.
I know that you've heard the name Shuckers. Shuckers has been at 70 Old Main Street, St. Albans for more than a decade. Really, serving up such great food like Shucker shrooms, jerk shrimp, juicy steaks, seafood, wings, stuffed shells, scallops, thin crust pizzas. There's something here for every taste bud in your house. Come hang out in the cozy bar area or bring your crew in and stretch out in the dining room for a memorable evening. Shuckers is more than seafood, it's your food. Open Tuesday through Saturday. We'll see you at Shuckers.
And we're back with the Coach's Corner, I guess, here, or maybe at the round table. It's John Frisbee from Riverside. We got Josh Strickler from Sissonville Boys and Elias Gregory from St. Albans High School. And we are previewing this basketball tournament coming up. And now we're moving to AAA and the number 1 seed, the Chapmanville Tigers. And let me tell you, Chapmanville, I lived there, and they were terrible at basketball. it was all about baseball. I coached a little bitty team, and we didn't even play a tournament because it was warm outside, and they all wanted to go play baseball. It's like, yeah, we don't need to play anymore. We're going to go play baseball. Right. And now it just seems like they've turned into this powerhouse. They've won 3 titles, going for their 4th, and coming out with the number one seed.
Would have won the COVID year in that.
Yeah, it's just amazing how they've turned that around. They come in with Robert C. Birds, their first opponent. Winfield, Ripley, 2 local teams. I say Ripley's probably still in the local area.
Ish.
Yeah, 4 or 5 seeds. And North Marion, Shady Springs. Shady Springs has been a team that's been here for the last few years, won a couple titles. Bridgeport 3 and East Fairmont, and we all know about Bridgeport. They just put champions together up there. I think that's their motto on their school up there is, it's just champions here. So, this is a good bracket too. And we start at the top there. And Josh, what do you got on Chapmanville other than they're looking for their 4th championship here?
Well, Napper does a good job. He has all their guys playing well right now is what I can see. Everybody's healthy. I know when they played in that Logan Classic, they wasn't full strength yet. They had one of their players out who was a major impact on the team, and now he's back. And, they played against Capital there at Chapmanville, and obviously they was victorious. But I almost wish we would see a rematch here at the state tournament, but that didn't happen.
That's the way things work out. How do you guys see this Ripley-Winfield? They split in the regular season, home and home, I guess, on that. Each team won there.
Probably my favorite system to watch in AAA boys is Ripley's, like what Mullins does up there. It's almost a lot like the East Fair. It's not exactly the East Fairmont thing, but we're going to press you to death. We're going to shoot a lot of threes. They run really, really good stuff, and they have the same thing where you can't tell me that you know who the best player is going to be every night. But Winfield, especially knowing from my time when I was over there playing, is Ilderton, in the way that I think a big can be a big factor up here, especially when shots aren't going. If you can keep Ilderton out of foul trouble, Ilderton is him and Keaton at Chapmanville are, and I don't know them North Marion kids. Maybe North Marion has some good bigs that I don't know about, but Ilderton could come up here and just wreck a game, and in the way that he rebounds and the way that he can score and put back and stuff. I think that's a really interesting matchup to me, and that I really like the way Ripley plays and what Ripley does offensively. But Ilderton could just wreck a game. Ilderton could just decide he's just going to get 20 and 15, and there's nothing you can do about it. So. And
I got to see Winfield play Riverside at Riverside this year, and I think Travis Tarr does a phenomenal job with his team. But they're getting their number 10 back. They're getting their kid back to be able to dress and be on the sidelines and play. So I think that's going to bring a huge emotional support from their whole community, from their team. So they were impressive to watch play in person. So I think what they bring to it, I think that's going to be a very good game. All respect to Ripley as well, but I think that'll be a very good game.
So I know Mullins and Tar really well, but the key to Ripley in order to beat Winfield is turnovers. That's their press. They have to turn them over. If they get more than 15, I think Ripley will win. Now, if Winfield takes care of the ball, I think Winfield will win because they'll come down and run the offense. Ripley gets most of their points in the press. So I really think it determines how key the press is in that game, who wins or loses.
All right.
Yeah. Shady have a chance this year? Anybody? They coming back?
Yes and no. North Marion is really good. Obviously, Olson knows what he's doing. It depends how well the point guard, number 0, does, the transfer in. It depends if he's hot or cold. He can go inside or out. And it depends how much he lets them operate, meaning how much does he distribute the ball. Because North Marion has a couple of scorers, too. You have to guard them the whole length of the court. Don't let them go north and south, or they'll score.
Yeah. As far as getting back into the Winfield thing, you think that may have been the toughest regional with the Chapmanville, Winfield in there, and possibly a
I'm going to say, and obviously, at some point, if we talk about it. To me, the toughest region was probably the Capital, Green East, Shady, Ripley's the other one out there.
Ripley was in there.
Now, the region that had South Charleston and Spring Valley and Nitro and Winfield and all them, that's a good region too. But as Green East and Capital, when we talk about teams that could have made it in this system, if you played a North and a South in AAA, I'm not sure that you don't get at least one or maybe two of those teams in. Not saying that they're like way more deserving than somebody else that's on that list, but man, that was 3 of the top 6 teams in the state that were in their region, I think.
Yeah, it was.
So I would say that region probably, at least at the top, maybe all the way through the Winfield region, maybe all the way down to 6, 7 was maybe better, but man, it'd be hard to find 4 better teams than the top of that Capital region was.
Yeah, you guys want to talk about that?
You want to talk about that? Can I say what I want to say about it? Here's what I'll say about it. Like I said before, I think the way we see the state tournament is the best way that you can do it. I think letting the coaches vote is the best possible way that you can do it, and I think that it works out 9 times out of 10 the way that it should. Sometimes, does it go based on what you did previously? Yeah, but how else would you see the state tournament, in my opinion, right? We got to stop letting coaches vote regional. Like, we just have to. We have to come up with a different way to do it. And there's no reason to not force us all to play each other. And I know that there are different things that happened in different regions, in boys and in girls, of ways games weren't played and teams that didn't play each other and everything else. But I think if you just mandate that you have to play it, now I don't know how you do that in Quad A because it's more teams, and if you can't do it that way, then maybe you have to go back to sections. But I don't know how you all feel about it, but I think I have not been a fan of the coaches voting on the regions because I think it gives chances for chicanery. Hunter Moles 2 years ago, remember whatever happened with him where something crazy happened and they ended up like the 4th seed or something 2 years ago. There's you get the argument, well, they didn't play anybody in the region, and then you get people that you do play a regional game, and how do you mark that out? And I don't know. I just think they need to get coaches' votes out of it. That's just me, though.
I mean, I agree.
Agree. 100%.
I feel bad for Cookie. I know Cookie, and I know Olson. But I think the coaches take too much into it. I think it's almost saying, okay, they have to play their conference. They don't have enough games to play everybody in the region, and that's what has to change. We got to do something where it's almost like a fair playing field for everybody, because Capital never dropped below a 3 this year. So how would you feel, and if you was the 1 or 3 seed, and you don't get home court advantage at all just because you didn't play a regional opponent because your schedule was already full?
Well, I think what scares me especially is if nothing changes after you've seen what happened in that region, and like it or not, Capital doesn't make it. So the people that banded together, and some of the people that banded together and did that got what they wanted out of it. What would scare me is, are you going to have that start happening in other regions? We talked about Capital girls got ranked 6th in that region and had beaten teams in that region had head-to-head beaten teams that were ahead of them in that region. I think that it just gives too much chance for the kids and the coaches, all, regardless of whether you like each other, don't like each other personally. If I hated Frisbee, that's my guy. But if I hated John Frisbee But I still, at the end of the day, would say he's going in there. His kids are working the same amount that my kids are working. He's working his tail off. I couldn't do that, knowing what they put in. Some people, are trying to do what's best for them, and I get that. But I just love the game too much to do that, and I just think we just have to get rid of the voting. We just have to, or else, especially next year. I mean, do you not think that people will be emboldened to do something crazy next year with this?
They have a chance to, and I think the SSAC needs to take control of it, or it'll continue to happen as you see it now. Other coaches are going to buy into what has happened and say, oh, let's get them out so we might have a chance. All right? But, technically, the better teams won that night. Obviously, they didn't have home court advantage or anything like that. But I think it would have been different if it was home court advantage. And then maybe you start talking about, okay, we don't want home court advantage. We want a neutral site where everyone plays. One certain location.
That's what we used to do. I
Yeah.
remember we used to play our regionals up at Riverside. When Riverside first got built, that's another. I'm sure that there's probably costs associated with that and stuff, and that's probably why they went away from that, because technically they're supposed to be neutral site games now, because like you can't do your whole entrance and you can't do the light shows and the stuff over there during a regional game, because it's technically supposed to be a neutral site game. But I think going back to neutral site, actually legit neutral sites would help too. But I think at the end of the day we need a more objective way to do the regional seats.
Who the SSAC just puts this up to vote somewhere? How does this
Coaches
come
vote
about?
in the region.
I mean,
I know that, but I mean,
I don't know how
as far as this all got started.
I don't know how it
the
originally.
region,
It's probably always been like that I can remember. I think even when I played, it was that the coaches voted. And I'm sure that there's been stuff that's happened plenty of times. I think the biggest difference this year, and what I think is a good thing that the SSAC did, I will give them a lot of credit for, is making the votes public this year. Because you used to be able to do it and nobody had any clue who had done it.
You're right.
This year, everybody, you get the rankings emailed to you of how it went. So at least, there was some blowback. Everybody, you could assume who had cheated you, but you didn't have hard evidence of who maybe had done this or that or the third. So, I don't know. I think, but I think that's probably been that way for a long time, right?
Well, yeah, or you can do in person.
Right.
And everybody vote then and there.
But I think, didn't that happen in one region this year? And
it happened in our region.
But I think that happened in a region, and then they all agreed to something and went back and voted a different thing.
Well,
I think that happened too. So
either do it there, or SSAC needs to be more involved.
One suggestion I had sent to me was need to seed them during the regular season like they do in football and do away with the regions. So, I mean, there's a lot of options they can put on the table, but going back to what you said, something different just needs to be done.
Yeah. I think coming up with a way that you have to play each other, and obviously the MSAC with, and I don't know about the conferences up north, maybe they have more teams and more stuff, but I know we're going to end up, not this coming year, but next year, the year after, whatever, 27, 28, with less conference games because of the whole split.
Right.
The way I understood it when they talked to us about it at the meeting. So I think there's a way to finagle it around to you. Maybe you have to put more teams up in Quad A. I mean, it's not a perfect it's not a perfect system. And I know that Wayne and Brandon, like Wayne obviously cares about basketball. Ryan up at the SSAC, he's was in it as long as he was. I think Brandon has done a phenomenal job this year. Every time I've needed him, reached out to him for anything, it seems like he's super involved. They got those regional seeds out fast this year compared to some of the years in the past. I think they'll come up with a good plan. I think that you can't let it go another year with the same system, though. They'll do something. Will it be perfect? Obviously you can't let good be, perfect be the enemy of good. I think they'll probably address it probably when this transfer thing gets addressed, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be put all the power back in the SSAC. I know it's just the transfer, but is that going to be all the governing body, I guess, will be back into the hands of the SSAC? They'll make all the decisions now, or is...
I mean, I think essentially they kind of do, unless the state code makes them do something. So I think they already do, except if the state code limits them from doing something. This just makes, now there's not a state code about transferring, and it goes back to they can make a decision about it, which, we could battle that around about for hours, but I don't think it's a bad idea to let the SSAC be in control of it. I think they're at least closer to what the schools are trying to get accomplished than maybe the legislature might be.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, they should know more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking to the coaches and...
Well, and I think the way that transfer rule works, that goes to that board that has all the principals on it, right? And all the principals and the athletic directors. So it's not actually, I think the SSAC makes recommendations, But I don't think the SSAC actually gets to, because when they came up with this class thing, when they redid the classes, weren't there like 3 different proposals of the way it would have went, and that the principals voted on.
Yeah.
The principals were the ones who decided the classifications this last time, and I'm sure that's how that transfer rule will work. They'll probably come up with 2 or 3 different suggestions. Maybe the principals have a suggestion, maybe the SSAC has a suggestion, and maybe whoever else has one, and then I think they vote on it. I think is the way it works. It's not like the SSAC just goes up there and dictates from the top of the mountain, like, hey, we're going to do whatever we want to do. So,
Well, they take all the heat, so
they
They do.
all the heat. When I was in high school, I thought the SSAC was the most evil thing that I could, that existed, because that's the way it was. That was the simplest person to blame everything on, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's probably part of that. So,
And all right, and we switch over to 4A, and just like the girls bracket, George Washington, the number 1 seed, they get MSAC opponent number 8, Huntington. And man, Huntington down this year, but they're a team that's has been to the tournament. They know how to win at the tournament. Mm-hmm. That could give them trouble. Knowing each other, playing each other. I think they only had one meeting this year.
And Tavion is
a freak athlete,
a freak of nature athlete, like
the Gatorade Player of the Year for football, and he's a player in basketball.
The way you
going to Clemson.
Well, the way you could talk about Ilderton, like just wrecking a game, and obviously GW is loaded, and Noah is one of my favorite players to watch and has been. But Tavion could go in there and, because who was it? Was it Spring Mills they almost beat 2 years ago when he was still healthy, that ended up winning the title? They almost made the state championship game 2 years ago. And it was because Tavion was just going berserk. You could get him in a game where he could just end up going nuts. And, like, for him to get 35 would not – I'm sure that Coach Green's going to do everything he can to keep him from it, but –
But in order for that to happen, the guards have to give the ball to him.
Yeah, true. But boy, he could wreck a game. He could just decide to wreck a game.
Yeah.
And
he's fun to watch.
Yeah, and he will rip the rim off at least 4 times over here, no matter the score or whatever.
You can tell he's D1 when he goes up in the
Yeah.
He's a freak athlete.
Yeah.
I do believe his mother taught at SA.
Yeah, she's still there.
She's still there.
Yeah, Jackie's still there.
He's a phenomenal kid, too. He really is a very, very well-mannered kid.
Yeah. Good. Well, I don't know him other than just watching.
I got to meet him at Riverside twice, and he was a very, very nice kid.
Yeah.
Did he rip the rim off over there?
Yes.
Yeah. He's good for that.
There's some good mentors over there at Huntington High. I think they keep a lot of those kids in check and make sure that they got their sights what they want.
His mom, I'm sure, does, because I've talked to his mom a couple of times since being over at St. I'm sure she yokes him up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jackie keeps him straight
and
and narrow.
If anybody need to yoke him up, I doubt she would have much issue yoking him up just in talking to her.
So can Noah go against another D1 athlete, not playing basketball, but playing football, and he's almost just as good? So we'll have to wait.
He would have been a D1 basketball player if that's what he wanted to be, I'm sure. I have no doubt that I mean, yeah, he's a D1 football player. My guess is he's a D1 basketball player if he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4-5 game is Washington, Parkersburg South. 2-7 game is Morgantown, Riverside. We'll come back to you with Riverside. 3 Spring Mills, 6 University. And let's go ahead and start on that 2-7 Riverside. Is that an upset over Hurricane, or what do we?
I don't think it was an upset. I think Riverside. Jacob Belaney's done an absolutely phenomenal job over the last few years with Riverside's program. He's got some really phenomenal kids in his program that have stuck it out with him and given him everything they could. Josh Brock, Isaiah Coles, Briar Mullins. You have the new kid that just came on. We have so much there that he's put together, and everybody's bought into his system. I think that the upset, I really wouldn't call it an upset because they played them pretty well the first game. Riverside handled them. Mm-hmm. I think as the year went through, Riverside got a lot better, but so did Hurricane. So I think it was a more evenly matched game that second time around. The 2 shooters from Hurricane did what they do. They shot it. I've never been to a gym that was that noisy, that loud, that much energy. It was just a really good thing for Riverside. 1999, they hadn't been back here since 2002. this is just a really, really, really great opportunity for Riverside. They're clearing out the school. They're going to bring every kid that they can down here. It'll be a really, really, really good day for the Riverside community and for all the DuPont people, all the East Bank people, all the Valley people that comprise the Riverside. And, Mr. Loftus has done a great job as the principal of Riverside to bring this stuff back.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying early on, Riverside, I did some games down there for JV. I wasn't in the varsity level yet for basketball, and gyms were packed. I mean, they were just, wall-to-wall people, and it's good to see. I saw the crowds
support.
Moving in and just filling that place up. It's good to see that you can get back, because I've done some games later on, before I got out of basketball, and there'd be nobody in there.
And he's got a lot of really, really good miles out of Rocco Terry. He's a freshman, he's learning, but he's learned every game, and I think with what he has, he could really push Morgantown. Morgantown's a phenomenal team, obviously a 2 versus a 7, but I think he could really do, if they play their game, like he said, it's going to come down to turnovers, who can make some shots in this building. Our floor is the same size as this floor, so it's not going to hurt us to come. I don't know what size floor Morgantown plays on. I've never been in their gym, but it's not going to. They're not going to be pushed by being on this size of a floor. So our gym obviously is not as open as this, but they're used to shooting in an open gym. So I think the kids from Riverside are really going to turn some heads when they get their opportunity to play here on Thursday.
Yeah, I agree.
Hoosier speech.
Yeah, that's a Hoosier speech if I ever heard it. And guess what? Kudos for their coach. Awesome job. But just like he said, it comes down to who shoots the ball better. It's a whole different setting, and I hope Riverside can pull it out. They're going to have purple and white and black all in the Civic Center.
That's the must-be-at game this week, just to see how
it's
wild
gonna be a really cool
that's the
atmosphere.
gotta-be-at
It
game
really
this
is.
week.
Yeah, I can't wait to what time is that game? I definitely
1 o'clock.
will go. 1 o'clock. Yeah.
And there's a lot of phenomenal coaches that are here for Quad A and all the other. But Jake, I just have to say, Jacob Bellany has done an absolutely incredible job with his team, and he's a phenomenal coach.
Yeah, and we talked about GW here a little bit with the players. Number 1 seed, well deserved, I guess.
Oh, hands down.
Absolutely.
I mean, Green does an excellent job every year. It's either them or Morgantown, 1 or 2 every year.
Yeah. So
now the could wreck the bracket team is Park South to me.
Absolutely.
Like if you're thinking about who could come in here and could completely blow this thing up, kind of the way that Park South's girls did, a little bit different style, because if they're shooting well, if Park South's shooting well, they can shoot you flat out of a game. They've got 2 kids. They can absolutely fill it up. Fallon up there does a great job with the coaching and stuff like that. That team would be the team to me that if you were looking for somebody who could just blow this whole thing up and just get hot at the right time, it would probably be them. That would be my opinion on that game.
And that's the great thing about being in the MSAC. We've gotten the opportunity to see them play a lot of these teams, and South is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, coming back, every year. I mean, you get one of the Parkersburg teams down here, and girls, we got both. So, anybody in the Panhandle we see coming down with the Spring Mills this year coming down. Those things we don't get a whole lot of news on.
I'm going to assume they probably have the point guard still that was the really good player. I think he was the most outstanding player here last year. I'm pretty sure, right? Or was this kid that was the senior?
I think it was the senior.
Okay, so the point guards are Okugbu. I don't know. I can't say his name, but the point guard was a really, really good player. I haven't heard literally anything out of them this year. I mean, obviously you heard stuff about them on the floor last year, and then they had the coaching situation that kind of kept them in the news all the time last year. Even down here, you would see stuff about it, but I haven't seen them. I haven't seen anything about them. I couldn't tell you.
I've only saw 1 or 2 games, and they can play 1 through 5, and they have 2 or 3 guys off the bench that can help out tremendously. And really, if that point guard gets in trouble, just like Elias was saying, they're going to be in trouble. So you got to keep him out of trouble and see what happens.
Yeah, the X factor. As far as outside of dark horses, Parkersburg South, we probably go with the number 1 seed in this then.
Yeah, I think they're too hard to handle with their guard play, and obviously Noah. Him and Eli are competing for the Gatorade Player of the Year.
Sprouse shoots the ball very well.
The thing that GW can do, though, that that you can just guard. The fact that they can guard, and we could sit here and talk about Noah's scoring, all that you want to talk about. It almost brings a tear to my eye to watch Noah guard pick and roll. The way he when he's guarding the roll man. I mean, if your offense does a lot of ball screens, he's just going to blow you up over and over. Noah by himself.
Because you're not going to get through it.
Yeah, he's just going to blow you up because he's quick enough to hedge. He could trap. He knows the game so well that he knows who to drop against. He knows who to hedge. He knows who to trap. And obviously Coach Green does a good job of that too. But a lot of times, you're out there. You only get 5 timeouts. Noah's making a lot of those decisions himself. That's the thing about watching Noah that's always been the craziest thing to me and he was even doing that when he was a sophomore, is his pick and roll defense, and especially as heavy as ball screen offense is in high school basketball in the state of West Virginia. Man, that's what would make me pick them, because I know he's going to be able to go up there and blow that up over and over and over again. So if Sprouse can make just enough shots, if the other kids on that team can make just enough shots, I think they're.
And you got the little Kelly kid who's 6 foot, plays like he's 7 foot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a bulldog in there.
Mm-hmm.
He gets 10 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a good tournament.
Yep.
One thing I want to close on, this past week during the girls' tournament, we lost Gary Ray. I don't know if you guys ever met Gary, but I just like to say special thanks to him, I guess, and condolences to his family, because he was an excellent. I didn't know about teaching or what he did, in Fayette County, but as far as I think what he did with the SSAC.
John probably knew him well. Yeah,
I'm a Fayette County guy, so I was on the Fayette County board. He was absolutely phenomenal, man, all the way through, for all the people that he touched, all the way through his life, through sports, teaching. You don't find very many people better than Gary Ray.
Yeah, I agree. I loved listening to him. He always, he's always on other sports programs talking, and I always felt, man, I'm right there with you, because he had great ideas, getting things moved around, and we kind of missed him, I think, in the SSAC. I don't know what he would think about this, all of these transfer rules and stuff that we've had the last few years and changing and everything. But condolences to his family, and we'll be thinking about you through the boys tournament. And any final comments from you guys there? And
well,
Elias, you always got a final comment.
My final comment would be, I really enjoyed the girls tournament. I love coming up here and watching it. I still, like I said before, the West Virginia State basketball tournament, we could talk about transfers, we could talk about regional seeding, we could talk about anything else you want, but this is one of the best events in high school sports in the country.
Yeah.
And so for everything that you want to maybe talk about this or that, they get this right. This thing is top notch. You've got people like Josh running around crazy, making sure that they get those good stuff on NFHS and the way they do. You've got Chris Wade and Mayor James and all the people that make this tournament amazing. I enjoyed myself last week. I'm going to enjoy myself again this week. I love getting to talk about it and do this stuff. So that's probably my biggest thought on it.
My biggest thought is all the coaches that come in to the tournament. Some that you might play against, or some that's all the way in the Panhandle, or coming down just to watch the tournament. You get to meet and talk to them, and hearing all their stories throughout the years and their problems, and talking a lot about what worked for you, what didn't work for you. It's good camaraderie-ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Echo both of those.
All right.
I agree.
One more thought. I don't know. I don't see the morning sessions because I have to work, but I did see a couple evening sessions this year at the tournament here. Attendance. It was bombing in the evenings. I don't know about the day sessions. You were at the day sessions? I mean, did we set any records this past week for girls?
I mean, I thought that it seemed to me, now, part of it maybe was being in it last year. It seemed better to me this year than it did last year. Maybe I wasn't super paying attention to that as much last year, being like, because I was doing other stuff and I was actually just here watching games. But I thought that, obviously the Parkersburg Park South championship game was crazy. I thought that Green East and East Fairmont showed up well. I think that maybe sometimes that the evenings hurt by that 9 o'clock game. that you just kind of die out at the 9 o'clock game. And we played the 9 o'clock game last year, and I don't think it was, and we played University too. So that was part of it, is like, the gym was, 1/100th full probably, but I thought it seemed better to me this year than it has. Did you not think so?
Well, in some of the days, this was Kanawha County spring break.
Yeah.
So I think that hurt some of the local teams not having the kids show up like from the schools because they didn't have the ability to come on bus.
Didn't have a whole
right.
lot.
And I think a lot of that was just due to the spring break stuff.
I can see that.
But I showed up for the Greenbrier East Fairmont game, and the whole bottom section was sold out. Or that because they said we don't have no reserve tickets left. I was like, that was surprising.
I think that it was well attended. I felt pretty.
So maybe we can get. Well, the boys always.
Yeah.
Show up real well.
Especially with the local teams not being in spring break for Kanawha County. Yeah. They're going to bring buses. Yeah. Riverside's going to have that whole bottom section.
Riverside's will be the wild one. That'll be the one that'll
That's
be wild.
That's going to be the fun game.
I guarantee it.
That'll be packed to the – you won't see a game probably that packed until you get to Saturday, I'd say, because that game will be packed in here, I would say.
Taylor Kennedy told me last week that being at Riverside that night against Hurricane was the loudest, most electric atmosphere he's ever been around as far as a sports writer.
Yeah, somebody posted on Facebook, and they was listening to the crowd, and it was.
Chris Feldhouse said the same thing.
Wow.
I mean, it was just a
Did you sit or did you stand?
I stood the whole game.
Okay, I was about to say I couldn't imagine you was sitting in that. It'd been way
stood
too
the whole game
for me.
over by the door.
Yeah.
Extra security.
Yep.
All right, so the State Boys Basketball Tournament, 5 days, 28 games, championship Saturday with 4 classifications. And you guys like the 4 classifications here for tournaments? Is it too much? Or
I don't think so.
I love it.
I see both sides of it, honestly. It gives more kids the opportunity. Do we need it? That's not the question. Is it good? Yeah, it is good because it brings more kids and gives them more opportunity to come play for a state title.
I agree.
I think it opens the door for good things. Again, it's not about whether it is or it isn't. It's just about what are the benefits, and the kids benefit from it.
Yeah, especially some of these smaller schools. We got so many small schools, and I just love them. And we talked last week with Elias. Seems like they bring, you're talking about busloads. The small schools are the ones that bring the busloads. I mean, they just close down the whole city, and you said Ritchie County shutting down the courthouse. And,
absolutely.
And you love that. I mean, you like seeing those buses pull up out front. And
well, I coach in Quad A now, but I came from Single A Valley Fed, so it was always a cool thing to see some of our teams get to come down here and play on the big stage. So it's definitely the same.
Yeah, so guys, I appreciate you guys. John Frisbee, Riverside High School, Josh Strickler, Sissonville, and Elias Gregory, St. Albans High School. And thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight for Sideline Sessions. And we'll be back. We're going to do a post show for St. Albans High School sometime.
We'll have to see what Josh wants to do. We may do a softball baseball show.
There you go. You guys do softball, baseball?
We may go down to Power Park and do a softball baseball show. That might be the next on the list.
We'll pull it right out there on the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, we could go up there.
So what?
Sure.
Josh,
I'm in.
Okay.
Josh can pull some strings. He knows a lot of people, so
he might have us out there in
he
center
might have
field.
the keys to
He might
it.
have us in center field.
He might build us something out there.
Hey, we can go to the bleachers too during a game and do it. We'll do a Dirty Birds game from the bleachers, and we'll just talk about anything and everything.
That's a good idea.
All right. Well, that's your sideline session for this evening. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back hopefully real soon, at least to do one of those shows.
Yep.
Right, thanks for joining us.
At Manny Ellis & Lane, it's not just business, it's personal.
We care deeply about what we do. We're fully immersed in the gravity of the client's circumstance. We understand what's at stake for them.
Introducing new frosted sodas and floats. The original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich and new frosted sodas and floats. Only at Chick-fil-A.
I know that you've heard the name Shuckers. Shuckers has been at 70 Old Main Street, St. Albans for more than a decade. Really, serving up such great food like Shucker shrooms, jerk shrimp, juicy steaks, seafood, wings, stuffed shells, scallops, thin crust pizzas. There's something here for every taste bud in your house. Come hang out in the cozy bar area or bring your crew in and stretch out in the dining room for a memorable evening. Shuckers is more than seafood, it's your food. Open Tuesday through Saturday. We'll see you at Shuckers.